Welcome to Java, and thank you kindly for joining me. It's August 27th, 2025, which is also Wednesday, Discord discussion day a little bit later. We are going to be looking at a couple of things that are going on overseas, but still very definitely affecting the United States markets and the underlying. So, of course, we are expecting Nvidia is going to report after the market today. So, expecting a little bit of volatility around this sector since this encompasses AI as well as technology. So, let's get started with what's going on in the markets this morning. We've got definite greed still going on now, kind of hovering this morning, but back in the green after yesterday. Took a bit of a hit in the markets. There is a lot of kind of consolidation going on, and we're going to look at what this means forward. Now, we were talking about assets, well, actually, for the past week or so, but really highlighting yesterday that you should by now have your some of your favorite assets chosen so that when a real dip buying opportunity comes in, you know where your capital should be allocated, or at least a good portion of it, and you can sector that out. A good thing to do is kind of budget item, line item it out, your favorite assets, and then the percentages you're willing to put towards them at what levels, and go from there. However, we can deep dive into this, or if you have any questions, please leave them below and I will address them. So we've got the 10-year yield. The bonds are really, really screaming out some differences here, and not just the United States bond treasury market. We've got a disagreement going on with the headlines that everything is fine. And in particular, the Japanese bond sector had a spike in their yields. This is serious sell off. And as I've said before here a few times, or if you're new, they can very definitely affect the United States market because they are one of the largest holders of United States treasuries, despite the fact that they have been selling off quite a few of these as of late in order to kind of control their own economy there. Now we've got the UK and France, as I put here, in a regrettable state. We've got an outright falling out of the French government that calls for Macron to step down. And there is quite a bit on the underlying as well. This is, of course, putting their markets in turmoil, and investors are trying to get out of French assets as rapidly as possible. Now, they are not on their own, they are tied in with the euro. So, kind of being balanced out. We've also got Germany in some very, I'll just say, a special position at the moment. We'll talk about them a little bit more, but they've got a definite struggle going on as well. Unemployment rising there as well. And the crown jewel, as of all, the UK. Unemployment is highest there between the bunch, and also looks like it is going to continue to rise. So, with the rising, increasing debt, will they be able to hold their own since they have split away with Brexit? Remains to be seen, as the EU is having troubles of its own. We've got India with the tariff tangles, as I put here. Now, they've got the threat of 50% tariffs. This is in dispute and kind of going on behind the scenes. Japan also still negotiating with the United States. They are about to have another visit. I believe this is their 10th or 11th visit in order to negotiate these off. Now, in light of this, the issue in the backdrop is that India is now doing much more commerce and trade with China. So it's kind of undermining some of these efforts. We've also got, of course, the kinetic wars that are going on between the UK, between Ukraine and Russia, as well as some Gaza things stepping up that are causing some problems. So, with all of this, we've got stocks, they're marginally higher, and we've got the futures looking actually quite flat. So the outliers, we're watching gold to show a run to safe haven, if you will, and the relative strength of the dollar. Now, cryptocurrencies look as if they're recovering a bit. So everything relatively flat. Now, this holding pattern is a lot on Nvidia because they're announcing their results after the market. The calendar, really not much. Fed President Tom Barkin speaking 12 p.m., noon Eastern time. Now, the Fed is in a lot of turmoil, of course, over the president trying to fire the Fed Governor Cook. And this is going into legal battles and some other issues. So we'll see how that plays out. But what they're saying is that big money is buying back into stocks, and that's not actually true. They are, but the large purchases that are being made of stocks, they are not following retailers, but rather they are doing stock buybacks. Now, that is massively different than putting into the broad market. So I just want to clarify that because there is an awful lot of propaganda now flooding out. And that to me is a kind of quiet warning signal because when they feel the need to start bringing out the propaganda and flooding it into the markets, it shows that they know something is up, they see something coming in the winds, and they're making an attempt to control it. So just like they slide out Fed presidents to talk, now they're also using their propaganda. So along with this, we've got the United States looking to publish their economic data on the blockchain. This is according to the Commerce Chief Lutnick. But the problem with this is if the data is not correct, it's not good, it doesn't matter that it's on the blockchain because even though no one can manipulate it, it's coming on pre-manipulated. So still not something you can trust. We've got a few other things going on now. As most everyone knows, the United States took a stake in Intel in order to purchase them out. This is the lead end of corporatocracy. And this is a massive problem because if the United States begins telling all businesses how they should be run, taking stake in them, it kills free market. It is probably the number one killer of free market and a larger threat in my mind than communism itself. So we've also got the United States looking at purchasing defense contractors. Now, this is a massive contradiction going on. The United States taxpayer money is what funds a lot of these defense contractors. And if they take stake in these, it is creating another loop to where they can approve their own paychecks, so to speak. So not a good thing at all. They are already massively funding them, and there's not open bid for any opening for independent corporations or companies to come in here. This is going to kill the innovation as well as put serious risk for the United States as far as their defense area. Now, a little bit more of this, and this is where it gets interesting. Lockheed Martin is one of the larger defense contractors in the United States, in case you don't know. They're looking at Rheinmetall for partnership for missile production. Now, Rheinmetall, the reason you may or may not have heard about this, they are now the larger contractor in Germany. Not long ago, they were propped up by the United States. They were given massive contracts, and this is a way that the United States is in essence funding Germany and keeping them afloat, not just with jobs, but production, as well as putting in a flow of US dollars into that corporation through the defense that will kind of filter out through the Cantillon effect again. So, war economy coming from US taxpayer money on propping up the German economy. So, whenever they feel like they need a boost, they're going to give them another contract. So, another issue on the back end, this is not just simply a partnership for missile production. We've got Snow reporting now, they're artificial intelligence linked, so watching them for a specific stock if you're a day trader, and Ford, which is F, which is about appropriate for the grade at the moment. They had another massive recall, so that stock is poised to take a hit this morning. Now, we've got bank profits dipping. the FDIC fund restored in the second quarter. Now, this is a report that is coming out on American Banker. The FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, very quietly had, in short, drained their funds. They are underwater. They're supposed to be the depositor insurance group for these banks, and the banks are having serious issues now. This is all a setup in order to convert again to the cryptocurrencies. Now, back to artificial intelligence, China. This is just showing a contrast in the strategies. They're going to triple their output of artificial intelligence chips through their company Huawei. And the United States is trying to short their access to NVIDIA. So there's a disparity going on here. We're going to see a lot more after NVIDIA speaks and puts out their earnings today. So we expect to see a few things tomorrow. Definite volatility. The VIX has been down seriously, so that is due to have a correction. When it does, it's going to send the markets into some very interesting territory. And then just on short news, Musk's Starship carrying out successful space mission after multiple failures. They just launched more satellites as well and cornering pretty much the satellite market. So this is all going to link in the future as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, how it ties in not just with internet, but also defense contracting, as well as domestic monitoring, if you will. So with this, I wish you all a wonderful day, green day if you're trading, and until I see you again, stay free.